So I'd just like to take the opportunity to introduce our first volunteer, Allan Maull, who'll talk more about his experience whilst here as a volunteer at the museum. I know a keen West Brom fan. Allan, can you please come up to the stage?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and a very good evening to you all. I did ask for an interpreter because I'm a baggy, and they said, "You'll be fine, just talk slow," so I'll do my best. It is a great honour to work at the museum, actually, and one of the great parts about it is doing tours for our visitors, and there's nothing nicer than hearing someone say at the end of the tour how much they've enjoyed it, and that your stories and your passion actually bring the museum to life, and that is a really nice thing to say. Training the new volunteers is very enjoyable, and going to what we call outreach, where we go out to care homes, hospitals, different organisations, and we take memorabilia out with us and stories to people that for whatever reason can't come to the museum. And again, that's very rewarding. I think the best way to sum it up is what I call Bob's story, and I'd like to share that story with you now. Bob came to us from a care home with two other elderly gentlemen. They all suffered with dementia. They all were in wheelchairs, and they all had their own carer. And one of the carers said to me, "Bob, I've looked after him for 3 years." She said, "He doesn't say more than half a dozen words a day, but we know that he loves football." And she said, "I'm sure he'll enjoy it, but he won't join in like the other two, but we're pretty certain he will enjoy it." So we did a tour of the 66 exhibition, which has been mentioned, and it started with the dressing room with memorabilia from the 11 players that had played in the final, and of course Sir Alf Ramsey. And I was just explaining how Alf Ramsey had managed Ipswich, and somebody said, "Puskas." And I looked, and it was Bob, and he said, "Puskas." And I said, "Yeah, he was a great player, Bob." I said, "But Alf Ramsey," and he says, No, they beat us 6, you know." And I said, "Yeah, you're right, Bob, you're right." And then he turned to his two friends and said, "Then they beat us 7. And I said, "Bob, you really know your football." And he lit up with a smile that was big enough to light a room. Then we moved on from the dressing room, and the next part was pen pictures of the rest of the squad. And the first picture was Peter Bonetti, and Bob says, "He was the cat, you know." And the carer looked at me and went, and I says, "Yeah, you're right, he's right." I said, "He was the cat, it's Peter Bonetti." And I said, "You really know your stuff, Bob." And I took my lanyard off and put it over his head. And I said, "You can do the rest of the tour, you know more than I do." And again, his smile lit up the room. But to cut a long story short, he kept it up all the way around the tour. When we got to the end of the tour, he shook my hand and he squeezed it really hard. And he says, "What's your name again?" And I said, "It's Allan." And he says, "Allan, that's the best day I've had for years." And I and he says to me, "Allan, will you be our friend?" And I says, "Of course I'll be your friend." It's quite emotional, as you can imagine. And I had to turn round, because like now I had tears in my eyes. And when I turned back, his carer was actually crying. And I said, "Are you okay?" She says, "Am I okay?" She says, "I haven't heard Bob talk like that for 3 years." And she said, "It's fantastic." She says, "He won't remember being here tomorrow, but it doesn't matter because he's had a great day today and it gives us something to work on." She said, "You're an absolute angel," something like that. And I says, "No, it's not me, it's football. Football is the power. It's one game, one family, and that's what I firmly believe." When we came downstairs to leave, Bob shook my hand again, and as he went through the exit door, he waved, and he says, "You will be my friend, won't you?" And I said, "Yes." And he left with a fantastic smile on his face. And when people ask me why I volunteer and why I work for nothing, that's why I volunteer and why I work for nothing. Because you know what, ladies and gentlemen, you can't put a price on that. You really can't. Thank you. And all I would add to that is please keep coming along to see us. Please keep supporting us. And you amazing guys, please keep creating the stories so that we can share them and hopefully make more Bob stories. I'd like to thank the museum for giving me the chance to work here anyway. And can I just thank you all for listening tonight. And can I say you've made a happy man very old. Thank you. Thank you.